Hi, everybody, and welcome to Thriving LDS Singles podcast. It's so wonderful to have you here, and my co-host, Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
Hi. All right, today we've got a nice, juicy topic for you.
It's controversial.
Controversial, yeah. Being a victimless, we can't even say it, victimless Christian. So, Kim, would you like to describe what that means? Like, what is it to be a victim, and what is it to mean, like, how are Christians victims?
Yeah. So we get a lot of mixed messages, I guess is a good way to say it. We get the turn the other cheek, or we need to be service oriented and forgiving and all those amazing, awesome things that we do need to do. But oftentimes we can take it too far, and we can end up getting in a relationship where we're not setting good boundaries. And then instead of taking responsibility for not setting good boundaries, we get offended, or we get resentful that somebody's using us or abusing us, or that somebody wronged us in some way. And it's easy, I think, for people to not take responsibility or accountability or acknowledge their part in a relationship or in an interaction.
Yeah, how do we differentiate between turning the other cheek and like the boundary of like, no, this is enough?
Yeah, I've had to do a lot of work in this area because I used to just be one that would bite my tongue or be always just forgiving, and that whatever I wanted was not as important as whoever the other person was. And it could have been just about anybody. I was sure their needs were more important than mine. And so I think I had to put in place a couple of barometers. I have to mentally check in with myself and ask myself, am I feeling any resentment towards this person or towards this decision? Am I saying yes when I want to say no? Am I saying I don't care when I really do? All those kinds of, you have to tune into yourself a little bit and what your needs and wants are. And if you are like me, you've kind of dismissed those for a really long time. And maybe that's okay. Maybe you're sacrificing yourself and you're acknowledging it, like you're really owning it and saying, yes, but I want to do that. Because there are times when you really do want to do something for somebody else out of the goodness of your heart. You don't have any expectations back. You don't feel any resentment. You just are coming from a place of love, and you want to give to somebody else. And I think that's awesome. That's Christ-like love. But if we're feeling resentful and we're feeling like they owe us maybe for whatever it is we're providing or doing, or we have some kind of return expectation, all of those kinds of things are setting us up for disaster. But to the point of being a victimless Christian, it really is all about acknowledging that you have total control or say over what's going on in your life, 100% accountability. It's actually one of, if you are familiar with Jack Canfield, are you familiar with Jack Canfield's work?
Yeah,
he wrote the book on success principles. So he's done a lot of tapping and meditations and a lot of things. He has a lot of other tools in his toolbox, but anyway, his number one rule for success is take 100% responsibility for your life. And there are so many people that just saying that makes people feel knots in their stomach or makes people uncomfortable, especially when it comes to our childhood, because when we're being raised by maybe an abusive parent, how do we take 100% responsibility for things? And his whole point is that the second that you start blaming somebody else, you give your power away. You basically are saying, okay, I am a victim. You absolve yourself of any responsibility. But it is really hard when you're thinking about childhood events to think about taking 100%
the
responsibility.
childhood events, I guess, becomes a bit more difficult, but you can certainly, as we become adults, like
one of my things that I always put as part of my goals, because we've been talking about goals, is I write a statement like I, Kim Cobbler, take 100% accountability for all my results in 2025. Just writing that and committing to it. I commit to taking 100% responsibility for all my results in 2025. Is huge. And just, we should at our age be able to own that, because we do own. I mean, even if, so we could go through the long list of, oh, the economy's bad, or what happens if, some war starts, or, the long list of things, but you still have a choice. We've all heard the stories about concentration camps and Viktor Frankl, and he would be the first to say, you always have a choice. And he was imprisoned for a very long time. So, but he took 100% responsibility. There's no question.
100% responsibility. So let's bring it down to sort of some of the people who could be watching this could be saying, but I'm unemployed. How am I going to do that? Or you don't understand the family dynamics. My children don't talk to me. Or
right. That's another good one. Or my wife left me, or my wife did this terrible thing, and that's why we're divorced, or I was cheated on. I mean, that's a common one. Right?
I was cheated on, so how can I trust anybody again? And all of those things, we're saying you take 100% responsibility. You go, but my wife cheated on me. Like, where am I responsible? And you didn't make her go do that. That was her choice. Absolutely. But do you forgive her? How do you react to her now? How do you treat other women? How are you, what was it that she felt the need to go find somebody else? Like,
right.
what was it?
Which is dangerous territory, but there is always something. There is, like, even in my relationship, I definitely see the signs where long before any big event happened in our marriage, I see the signs of gradually losing respect for him, or being in disagreement and not being willing to speak up and give myself a voice. Those things whittle away. And those are the reasons why I lost the respect. It wasn't, if I would have been a stronger person and would have been able to willing to speak up and say, hey, that's not okay with me. Or, those have open and honest conversations about things. And then if they aren't willing to, again, you have a choice. But you have to show some initiative and speak up. And so I look back at that relationship, and even though I'm not excusing some of the things that happened or accepting the bad behavior, I am recognizing my role in it, and that I did have a choice. For sure. So I think that's what and if it's hard to take 100% accountability, because that means we're taking responsibility, and that makes people feel really uncomfortable to have to own what's happening to them and recognize that they have a part in it. And so that requires some kind of action or change on their part. And people are uncomfortable with change, no matter whether it's good or bad.
That's right. We like to think of like, but they did this and they did that and they did that, and that's why I've got this problem. It's like, yeah, but that's there's a classic story that maybe explains it a little bit. I was going to a conference one day, and it was actually out at the person's house, and they lived a fair way out of the city on a country road. And all of the people, and there was probably 30 of us going to this conference, and we all drove this country road. Right? One person got picked up for speeding on that country road. One out of those 30 people that must have passed that policeman. He was the guy that didn't have a license.
Dang. He was driving without a license, so
He was
there's
driving
that.
without a license. And it's like all of the 30 people that went past, why was he the one picked up? And it was like, there's a neon light in your car that says, pick me, pick me. And, you know, we all went past it pretty much the same time. So why did the policeman pick him? And it's when we've got that victim mentality, there is a sign that goes out that says, pick me.
Yeah.
And so
I have bad luck. You hear that all the time. And I think, okay, but were there things you could have done to prevent or to take, maybe not 100% prevent, or take one step in a different direction that might have made it not as severe, the consequences severe, or you know what I mean? Gradually building those things up. It's like, I mean, that's why we've spent so much time talking about planning, is because, and that's why it's important to have a vision and to start taking steps to get towards something or to have a goal. If you just let life happen to you, you are being a victim.
But we talked last week about you set your vision and then listen to your insides about, do I believe this is possible? So, you know, many of you want another partner, right? Which is not a bad goal. Like that's fine. Great. But when you say that, I want an active LDS, you know, male, female who, you know, loves me and is, you know, caring, and what do you believe inside yourself? Do you think, oh no, I'll never find someone like that? No, that's not possible. No, there's no one like, I mean, I hear that so often. There's no decent men out there. You know, we've got a Facebook group with men all saying, I really want a nice, faithful woman. And you say, well,
yeah. Why is this mismatch happening? I don't understand it either. But I think there's a lot of fear, right? Like, a lot of fear. If somebody's been burned, or somebody's been hurt, or even just rejected, then they're not willing to ask somebody out or to say, you know, it's so funny. You kind of can watch on the Facebook, people comment a lot, but then you wonder, well, are you ever going to take that next step of saying, hey, I'd really like to could we go out and do something sometime? Or could we meet in a group? Or are you going to this singles event? Because I'm going to go there and I'd like to meet you in person. You know, those kinds of things. But I don't know. I think people are afraid to be that bold, especially if they've gotten hurt. But that the recognition is you have to own it.
Yeah. But, you know, and pretty well, no, all of us have been hurt in some area of our lives. All of us. Like that. That's just life. Yeah. Actually, Tony Robbins, I heard something he said this morning of like, if you're looking for a problem-free life, then you don't understand life.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. There's no such thing.
There's no such thing, you know. And just because we're good little LDS people, it doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. What was that great one we talked about? Yeah. Oh, that one where we say like, well, you know, if I need a job, all I have to do is pray about it and the job will turn up, right? And it's going, no, that's not the way. God expects you to go put your effort in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's another area where we get a lot of mixed signals, right? Because there's the trusting God and God's timing and God's plan, but God loves effort. So the only way to navigate those things is to just continue to stay close to God and to be continuing kind of checking in. What is the action you want me to take? What do you want me to do next? I'm willing to take action, but help me know the right steps. Not, I'm just going to sit back and wait and it's all up to God and his timing to solve my problem for me.
That's right.
Yeah,
no man has ever
it's hard to navigate
out of the sky.
Yeah,
it's hard. No, guys don't just drop out of the sky. You've got to go to the single events to find them. You've got to go on the phone and talk to them. You've got to like,
yeah, put yourself out there a little bit, which is scary. There's no question. The another Jack Canfield thing that he teaches is he has you actually, if you're in any of his workshops, do an exercise where you put yourself out there and keep getting rejected. He calls it the no and next principle.
Oh, yes.
I mean, and he gives the example. He went to 140 plus publishers and asked them to publish Chicken Soup for the Soul before he got a yes.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it?
140 plus. I think it's like 143 or 46. I know it was in 140s before somebody actually said yes, and I will publish your book. So just think if he would have stopped at 135, which I would have been totally deflated at, I don't know, 10,
Yeah.
let alone 140 something. So, when he teaches that principle, he's like, you have to learn no and next. I think missions help with this for men and for women who have been on missions and getting rejected. Like I just don't have that thick of skin. I need to learn that. And so I always have to implant in my brain the no next kind of thinking, because it's hard for me to get rejected. So
well, and you do, like, you're putting yourself out there to get jobs, and very few people get the first job they apply for. That's not something that happens.
Yeah.
But there's an analogy that used to be around years ago where we're in a rowboat with God, and we've got one oar and he's got the other oar. And if he's the only one rowing, then you're going around in circles. And obviously, if you're the only one rowing, you're going around in circles. Yeah,
I like that analogy. You just have to work together. I really like that analogy.
Yeah. And that's what prayer is about, isn't it? It's not about God, this is what I want and this is how it's going to be. It's like, okay, what do you suggest? Okay, you suggest to go do this. Okay, well, I'll go do that. Okay, now you suggest I go do that. And you go and do it.
Yeah. And then we have to fight off the demons and the Satans trying to get in our way of stuff.
Yes, well, that's another whole, we'll do that one another time. But
that's a whole other podcast.
Right now it's just the demons in our head that sort of says, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I can't do it. And then, feeling that you have to give 120%, but then people just walk all over you, and you're going to go, no, I've got to put boundaries around, because boundaries are good. Boundaries are appropriate. You think about Jesus, he had boundaries, he didn't get, and like, sure, he said, if someone wants your coat, give them, you give them your coat as well.
Right.
But what he meant was without resentment, it's like,
if 2 weeks later you're going to say, I should never have given him that coat, then that's not the message. That's not how it works.
But then there was that time where he's walking through the wheat fields and he's saying, eat the wheat. And they're saying, but it's the Sabbath, you can't do that. And he says, we're hungry. I mean, obviously he's got, but he had that self-esteem. He had that belief in himself. He understood where the boundaries were, where the acceptable, So there are rules in dating. Someone is not allowed to stand you up 20 times. It's like, forget it. I don't care how good you are. That's not acceptable.
Yeah.
But the first time someone's late or something, you go, oh, well, life happens. If it's a constant, no, sorry, that's my boundary.
Eventually, I just can't imagine somebody not feeling very resentful about that.
That's right. So, yes. So if you're feeling like things are, constantly bad stuff is happening to you, then you need to look at your life. You need to think, what is it about me that is attracting so much bad stuff?
Yeah.
And if it's homelessness or joblessness or bad partners or, people yelling at you or whatever it is, it's really important to look at what you're doing, what you're thinking, and how you're responding to those things. So responding is sort of the next step.
Yes.
But,
and the other thing you have to consider, I mean, it is complex. Have you ever read Dopamine Nation? It's a book about dopamine, and there's a lot of research that has been done on dopamine, Anna, I can't remember her last name. It's like Lou, I don't know. I'm not even going to try, but we can put it in the show notes. She has done a ton of research and helps people with addictions. And she's the one that wrote the book, Dopamine Nation. And she actually has a follow-up, like a workbook. But it's an excellent book. But it talks about how we can even get addicted to negative behaviors, and bad behavior and people mistreating us. And so it's not just, we're addicted, obviously, to social media and to running and to alcohol, all the obvious things. There are other things that we can be addicted to. In fact, they, in an interview recently, they asked her, what's the weirdest thing somebody's been addicted to? And she said she had somebody that was addicted to over drinking water. And they found that if she used to be a drug addict, she overcame drugs, but then she became addicted to drinking water, and she could realize she could drink enough water that she could get to kind of this euphoric, kind of dizzy, almost ready to pass out place. And she used to, drink water until she got to that. And sadly, she ended up taking her life. She wasn't able to overcome the addiction. But there are many things and kinds of things that we get addicted to, and being kind of having a negative outlook, and being grouchy, or even some people are addicted to causing drama or stirring things up in life, and always having to have some big problem in their life. There's being addicted to your work. I mean, there's all kinds of things. And especially in the environment that we live in now, where we have so much access to so many things and so many options, we really do need to look at it from a perspective of just how do we manage ourselves? Are we okay with sitting with some discomfort, or we don't allow ourselves to be in discomfort? We turn to something, and sometimes it can be a bad behavior that we turn to, or, stirring something up with somebody when it was totally unnecessary, or who knows what, So we really do have to be honest and take a look at ourselves and take accountability for how people interact with us, and how we're interacting with other people, and what our results are.
Yeah, I've seen that one where people are addicted to the drama.
Yeah.
And so, looking from the outside, you're going, whoa, they had that problem, and then they had that problem, and that problem, and that problem. It's like, whoa, they've got so much bad luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite possible that it's that they're addicted to the drama. If life's going smooth, they're actually uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So whenever you're feeling an uncomfortable feeling, sit with it and see what's going on.
Yeah, be willing to explore it a little.
Yeah. And so that's our little discussion today on taking 100% responsibility for where your life is at. So when you look at your relationships, your bank account, your health, whatever part of your life you want to look at, be 100% responsible, because you are now actually in charge of your life.
Yep. And commit to just say, I commit to being 100% responsible for my results in 2025. See if you can write that down and repeat it to yourself every day.
Repeat it and live it.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear anybody's comments on this, or, thoughts, disagreements. Go for it.
Right.
And we'll come back and see you next week. So lovely chatting with you, Kim.
Always good to be with you, Kay.
Bye.
Bye.